herniated discs. One is pressing on a nerve that causes pain to go down the lower right side of my back and across the front of my right thigh. It started just about 3 months ago, kind of out of the blue, and was debilitating. I went to the emergency room and they gave me medication and did an x-ray. And then a couple of days later I went to my doctor who gave me different medicine, and then I got an MRI to see where the herniation was. I also started seeing a chiropractor who has been putting me on traction and giving me exercises to do to strengthen my lower back. I've been to a pain management center and had 3 epidural shots. They were 2 weeks apart, and they offered some help. But I continue to have some pain.
What we're going to do for you is to teach you some breathing techniques which are going to help run energy through your body. So one of the ways that it's going to run energy through your body is just through the process of inhaling and exhaling. So usually we think in terms of exhale for power, but in reality, we're inhaling half the time and exhaling half the time. And the inhale has its own type of power. And one of the powers it has is that it expands. So when you inhale, your chest expands, and then the air goes in. So we're going to use some of those expansion properties, and by focusing and visualizing on certain parts of the body, we're going to get those parts of the body to expand a little bit, just the same way that your chest does on the inhale. The expansion of the body, what it does then is, as it expands, it'll also expand all the capillaries, the nerve endings, the joints a little bit too. You can think of it almost as swelling up, but it's going to expand them. And then what they'll do is, with the expansion, then not only the energy of the breathing, but the blood flow is going to increase in those parts of the body because it expanded up. So you could imagine, say, little capillaries, if they expanded, they wouldn't be as closed, or they would grow in size, expand in size, and then the amount of blood that can flow through them is increased. So on the inhale, the oxygen properties, then we'll get an increased flow into that area of the tissue or through those areas of the joints. And on the exhale, because of the increased capacity of the capillaries, then all the harmful acids or waste products will also be able to be released into the bloodstream easier and get carried out of the body as well. So we're looking at dynamics of breath, and we're also just looking at the physical dynamics of trying to increase the ability of the blood to flow with its energy and with its waste taken away properties throughout the body, and allowing the body to heal itself, or increase the ability of the body to heal itself. So what we're going to start with is some breathing techniques to get the body to expand where we want it to, or use those properties of breathing in and out to be able to visualize and target specific areas of the body. And then we're just going to go and expand that concept from specific areas to the entire body. So naturally, if we're talking about breathing techniques, it's inhale and exhale. And we're going to do a very deep breathing. An abdominal breathing would be one of the ways to describe it. There's many types of abdominal breathing, and this is the one that we're going to be using for this technique. We're having you lay down so that you don't have to use any of the muscles of your body to support you. We can do the same techniques like sitting, but then we have a problem with you're using your muscles to hold yourself in the sitting position. You're trying to maintain balance. Also, when your waist is bent and your knees are bent, hips are bent, when you're sitting, you won't get as fluid of a blood flow or energy flow as well. We also can do the same types of techniques while you're walking or standing, and to increase those abilities, we try to get the back as straight as possible, so as much of the weight is being held by the spinal cord, but in bone structure. But in addition to the walking process, is that as the muscles are moving, there's a self-massaging type of effect that also helps the energy to flow through the body tissues. But in this case, we're using the laying down technique where there's literally no muscles having to be used to support the body or frame. So first we're going to start on a very deep breathing process and get used to the inhale and the exhale of a deep inhale and exhale. So this is natural processes, natural breathing processes. It's not anything that you have to train your body to do. We're just going to focus on some natural ways that your body breathes deeply. So one of the ways that you exhale deeply is when you sigh, or when you give out that exhale of breath in relief or exasperation. You do a deep sigh, you just go, ah. So we're going to use that natural exhale with the sigh to get a deep abdominal exhale. So first, I'm just going to have you just do a deep sigh. Just go, ah. Good. Let's do it again. Okay. Now, when we sigh, we're just going to continue with that breathing out, sort of like a follow through. So it would be like a complete sigh to your all the way side out, completely emptied out or completely relaxed. Just go, ah. And let the exhale just continue till there's no exhale left. Good. Again. Okay. Now, we're going to do the sigh again, and I want you to kind of feel that at the end of the sigh, that you're going to feel the bottom of the cavity of your abdomen, literally below your stomach, at the bottom of that abdominal cavity is where you're going to be able to feel if you give that real deep sigh. Go ahead. Again. One more time. And you can, and we can actually see the bottom of your abdominal cavity all the way down to the hips area are actually moving with that depth of that exhale. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to work on an inhale. It'll be a deep inhale. And naturally, when we yawn, we do a deep inhale. So the yawning actually is a deep inhale which replenishes the body or gives the body a boost of oxygen because it's inhaling. So what I want you to do now is just think about a yawn and then open your mouth and just go, like you're yawning. All right, now yawn. That was an exhale. Now when you yawn, you go. Now usually when you yawn, you kind of like stretch your arms open also. So add that. Okay, put your hands back on your stomach. And now do a yawn. Again. Okay, that was a deep yawn. Now, what I want you to do is do a sigh, which is an exhale, and then do a yawn, which is an inhale. And when you sigh, I want you to sigh deep until you hit the bottom of your abdominal cavity. And then from that point, I want you to start the yawn, the inhale. Okay, give it a try. Again, start with your hands on your abdomen. One more time. Okay, now that's our complete cycle of a deep abdominal exhale and a deep abdominal inhale. So now, go through the cycle again, but I want you to feel like your stomach expand with the inhale and how your arms almost are expanding the same with that same expansion of the inhale. So try it now and just think about how your body expands in the inhale. Again. One more time. Okay. So now I'm going to try avoid breathing. I want you to pretend there's a void in the floor of your abdominal cavity. And if you open up that void, it will make you inhale. So now, just without the sigh, just think about a void at the bottom of your abdominal cavity. Open it up and allow it to almost suck an inhale out of you, but you'll expand. Now you can feel how you're breathing without moving any muscles. And open your mouth slightly. So what you should feel is the floor of your abdominal cavity now is just making a void, and that expansion runs up through your abdomen and into your chest, and you're doing a deep inhale without having to move any muscles. So your whole trunk of your body, from the bottom of your abdomen all the way up through your chest, is now expanding with the inhale, and you're not having to use any muscles. So what this type of breathing does, without using any muscles, is it allows someone that's very weak to be able to take a deep breath. We use this also for, say, cystic fibrosis, when they need to take a huge deep breath, especially if they're huffing all the junk out. So when they're healthy, they can take sort of a deep breath, but this increases the size of the inhale, and now the exhale will come from the same place for like deep breathing in cystic fibrosis. Okay, now you can feel that expansion. Now, what I want you to do is visualize that you're breathing all the way down from your toes, the tip of your toes. So you can feel that expansion now in the tip of your toes, right? Like toenails, tip of the toes, toenails. Now, We have the trunk of the body's doing an expansion. The tip of the toes are doing an expansion. Now, starting at the tip of the toes, start the expansion from there and not from your abdominal cavity. So the abdominal cavity will be working on its own in a sense, but you want to visualize that you're the same way it started at the bottom of the abdominal cavity, it now starts at the tip of your toes. And it's going to run up your legs, up through your abdominal cavity, up to your chest. The only difference now is we're starting at the tip of our toes. So it's visualization, but you should feel now that expansion going from your tip of your toes, and it goes up your legs, actually hits the floor of the abdominal cavity, and now and that's when we're going to visualize the abdominal cavity expands. So it's almost like a pre-technique to the breath, or the inhale is we're starting at the toes as a pre-technique. And now you can feel that expansion, and you have the pain in the legs and the hips and the back. So I want you to feel that expansion going right up the bones, through the legs, through the hips, and then from the bones it radiates out to the muscles. As it goes up the bones, it hits the joints, the knee joints, the hip joints, and expand those joints open. The same way you're expanding the blood vessels open, expand the joints open now as well. So now we have that energy going in with the inhale. We're getting oxygen in there with the inhale. Then the exhale is supposed to get rid of all the waste products. So I want you to make sure that your mouth is open. So open your mouth. And it doesn't have to be overly wide, but it just needs to be open. Now you breathe in. You should feel that oxygen running up the body. And now when you exhale, let all the junk that it picked up, any byproducts that it picked up, also tension needs to go. So now feel the tension go out of your mouth on the exhale. So it's like a wash and a rinse process. You're washing your body cells with this oxygen on the inhale. Then the exhale, you're releasing it. You might even taste that there's something coming out with the air. Now you should start to notice is that you're taking almost full breaths, full inhales, full exhales. And by full, I mean your entire body cavity is expanding and contracting, inhaling and exhaling. But the visualization is that you're breathing from the toes all the way up. So you're feeling an expansion now of almost the entire body. With each exhale, you should feel the junk coming out, the byproducts, the tensions. If there's trauma in there, you should feel the trauma coming out the mouth with the exhale. And as you continue to learn the breathing process, your body now breathes real slow, but real still. It's like your body hardly even needs to move, and you're taking deep inhales and exhales. Okay, now we're going to get almost parts of the body that we haven't included. We're going to start including them now. So you could start with your hands where they are, and as we exhale up, when you get to the trunk, your chest, then have the inhale expansion go down the arms to the tip of the fingernails now. So you'll be going toes, up the legs, the body, down the arms to the fingernails. So that you should feel even the tips of your fingers expanding, the capillaries expanding, the oxygen rushing in with that expansion. And then with the exhale, you're getting a rinse. And there might be a little tension in your arms because you have them laid across your body. So let's just try draping your arms next to your body. Just let them flop next to your body. And do the same thing going down to the fingernails. So you can feel your fingers getting real alive. And your hand almost feels like it's light. They actually get real red from the oxygen going in there and the blood flow. Okay, now we're going to include the top of the head. So as we do the inhale, we still have it doing the whole body, but now just include the head and feel it go up the neck and stretch the neck. Stretch behind the ears, between the ears, and then feel it stretch even the scalp at the top of your head. Now feel like the whole back of your skull is expanding, the top of your head is expanding, the scalp is expanding. Now if we go into the neck, the shoulders, and now we have the whole body breathing. And we're going to make it even easier to breathe. And to trigger this whole breath, just open your mouth. It's kind of not real wide, but just as you open your mouth, feel that the air go in just with that process of just opening your mouth. And then it'll just trickle in as you open your mouth. And then you just relax, and then you just do the exhale. And if we want to make it even easier, just visualize your mouth opens and you inhale completely. Then you just visualize you relax with a rinse. So now you're doing these complete inhales and exhales. Your entire body is expanding and contracting from the toes. It comes up. And nothing is moving. You're completely relaxed. Now, if there's any aches and pains, you emphasize that they're getting washed and rinsed extra. But a lot of times the problem isn't just in the part that hurts. There's a reason it hurts that might be from another part of the body. So like your knees might be bad because you have a problem in your backbones. Or your hip is out of place and that's what's affecting your knees. Or your feet are hurting just because it's not that the foot hurts, it's that they're not getting good circulation. The nerves are going crazy. So, because we can't always diagnose exactly what the problem is or where's the root of the problem, we just see symptoms. But one symptom might be because of another symptom, which is because of another symptom. So what we're working at is the whole body all at once, no matter what the symptoms are. And going by the idea that if we can get the energy through the body and the flow and to use the natural processes of the inhales, the exhales as natural energy producing or oxygen delivering, and also waste byproducts, tension reducing on the other end of the cycle, that we can get the body to begin to heal itself by its own natural processes. So we took a example of an exhale, which is a sigh, and used that. And we took an example of an inhale, which is the first part of the yawn. When you begin to yawn, it's usually a complete inhale. And the root of that is the abdomen of both of those movements. So a lot of people call it the center, the dantian, the hara. So somewhere in that abdomen area happens to be the root of a lot of energies or the root of life, or who knows what, because we can't really see it, but we know that there's something to that. So we're using this type of deep breathing to allow the body to start healing itself. And in this case, we're choosing laying down. It still works sitting up. It also works while you're walking. Sometimes the movement adds to the effects a little bit, but then you're also supporting your weight when you're sitting and walking. So we're showing this example because you're laying down and you can be completely relaxed. Also, as an aid to drifting off to sleep, this works really good too. But in this part of the video we're showing now, you're seeing complete breathing, deep breathing, with the body laying completely still. There's no muscle movement. There's no, all the expansion and contraction now is almost all internal. Can you tell me how you feel?
My body feels completely relaxed. I feel like I'm breathing through my whole body and not through my mouth or nose, as if every pore is breathing. Is breathing. I feel the void kind of on top of my body, rising before the breath comes in. Rather weightless.
Why don't you stand up? Let's see how it feels standing up.
Feels so good, I don't want to move. The body still feels relaxed.
Just move around a little bit.
I feel straighter. Nice and straight. I was slumped over before. I couldn't stand up straight. My body feels relaxed. Kind of stronger, but relaxed. Kind of like a puppet feeling, a marionette.
How about pain?
I don't feel any pain at the moment. The muscles feel relaxed. No pain in my leg, no pain in my back. body feels warm. Like there's a nice flow.
You got a real straight backbone,
Yeah.
vertical axis. You can literally see the vertical energy column there.
It's almost like an emptiness in here. I guess cleansed.
Can you describe what you think happened?
Well, you had me visualizing cleansing breaths and toxins coming out. And so it feels like my body is clean inside. And that makes it feel stronger, not weighed down. Before I felt such a weight on my body. I think it was just pushing me down like this. But now I feel open and clean and straight. Light.
Now we're going to learn one method of abdominal breathing. We're going to work with both the exhale and the inhale to get the full cycle. And we're gradually going to stress the dynamics of the inhale. So we can do this sitting, we can do it standing up, and we can also do it lying down. So we'll begin with the exhale. So to do a complete or almost complete exhale, we're going to use the natural process of a sigh. A sigh like we're just trying to relax, or we're exasperated. We're just going to do a deep sigh and feel the effects of the exhale, the biodynamics of the exhale when we sigh. So first we're just going to just do a deep sigh. And that's what we do. We just exhale. We just go, let's do another deep sigh. And you'll notice that the whole body is contracting with the sigh. The exhales are a contraction of the body, but the air is going out. So the power is in the breath going out as opposed to the expansion of the body, because the body's contracting. So let's do one more big exhale. Now we're going to continue the exhale, almost like it's a follow through, until it stops on its own. And we're going to feel that when it stops, we can feel the exhale actually go down to the bottom of our abdominal cavity. That's how deep the exhale goes. So now do a big exhale and a big follow through till it stops. And at the tail there, you could feel the bottom of your abdominal cavity, right? Okay, let's do another one. And now that you can feel it quicker. So we're going to keep repeating directions so that you can review the video and do it along with the video. And it will be like a lesson that you can do and follow along with us. Right? Again, a big sigh for an exhale, and you can feel that abdominal cavity. So this is the depth of the abdominal breathing that we're going to be using, is that it's going to go all the way down to the floor of our abdominal cavity. Now the inhale, we're going to use a natural process of an inhale that we do naturally, and at the beginning of like a yawn, when we yawn, the beginning of that is a filling of the body with air, or an inhale. So just do a big yawn and get the feeling of how the body fills up with air or inhales with a yawn. So just pretend you're tired and you just go, and again, another yawn, and you. Yeah. Now just try another yawn and do another inhale. Yeah. You notice the first one, you relax, you just stretch straight out with your yawn. Okay. Another yawn. Okay. So your body actually expanded, and that's how your arms go out. It's like you're a living balloon. You just inflate with the yawn, and everybody does that. You know, when they yawn, they just inflate. Okay, with that inhale. Now what we want to do is tie the inhale and exhale together, because that's the normal rhythm. But we're going to try and establish a cycle of breathing from the bottom of the abdominal cavity for the the exhale and inhale cycles. So we exhale to the bottom of the cavity, and then when we inhale, we're going to try and draw the air up from the bottom of the abdominal cavity as well. So what we're essentially doing is we're going to sigh and then yawn. So for the purposes of training, we'll kind of sigh and then we'll do a yawn along with the sound effects. Okay. So we're going to do a deep sigh to exhale and then a yawn from the bottom of that cavity. So now it's going to take a few times to get the hang of it because this is what we're learning. So when you're ready, just do a big sigh, go, ah, and then the big yawn and go. So try a couple of sigh. Yeah. Well, it's easy to hyperventilate with this. Okay, so let's try a big sigh. Go, ah. Now breathe in with a yawn and go. That's it. Now you could feel that cycle start at the bottom of your abdominal cavity, and it feels like your whole trunk of your body inflates. It is the feeling that you're going to get. Okay, so now without doing the visualization of the sigh or the sound effects of the sigh and the yawn, just go, and just release all the air out till you hit the bottom of the abdominal cavity, and then just go, open your mouth like you're going to yawn, and you'll inhale. Okay, good. So you can feel the deepness of the breathing off of that floor of our body. And a lot of the Eastern arts, they'll call this the hara, the dantian, the center, that type of thing. So there's a lot of ideas of the placement of the hara in the center. And there's also a lot of types of abdominal breathing, but this is the breathing that we're going to be using for this particular study of the biodynamics of giftedness. And the reason we want to use this type of breathing is that it's perfectly natural. You notice it didn't take a lot of special training. When we linked it to something you do naturally, like sighing for an exhale, yawning for an inhale, it's something that you didn't have to train to get. We're doing it automatically. All we have to do is use the power of visualization and capture it. So now you've noticed that you were conscious of your body on an inhale and an exhale. And what you should also notice is that your back feels straight and you have this energy going straight up and down. So you've just created a vertical axis of power. And it turns out this is a natural look when you're working with proper biodynamics, especially for gifted performance, is this vertical backbone. And it turns out all your energy flow is quicker when you have the vertical backbone. Also, you're more balanced. This also makes it a vertical axis of rotation, so physical movements are stronger as well. So the biodynamics then create the shape of your body. And you also notice that you should feel like relaxed. You notice you even like kind of feel completely relaxed as well. And it looks, you can see the look as well. So if you review the tape again, you'll actually be able to see the body straightening up as you were learning the process. That's how fast it works. Okay, so that is learning the basic abdominal breathing while we're just sitting down. It's simple. Now we'll do standing up, then we'll do laying down. It's the same directions. We'll just do it for the sake of videoing. Okay, but wait, but now for the future, is now we have the basics of abdominal breathing. Now we're going to add almost like a master level of abdominal breathing. And by this, we're going to use the process of visualization. And we're going to visualize that below the floor of our abdominal cavity, there's a void. It's like a black hole that can absorb energy. And if we open up that void, it's going to draw our air into it. So that void is then going to create our expansion and contraction of our breathing. So we won't have to use our abdominal muscles. So first we'll just do the abdominal breathing that we're doing now. Put your hands on your stomach and you just do the deep sigh and do one breath, and naturally you can feel your body inflate. It even looks like it inflates. And that's because it's supposed to on the inhale. Okay. And you feel it contract naturally as on the exhale. Okay. Now we're going to make that void underneath our abdomen now and just open it up and let it suck the air. And as it sucks the air, it's going to make us inhale or expand. Okay. So feel around down there, make a void, open it up, and feel it suck the air in to make an inhale. And open your mouth slightly because that'll make it easier. And now you'll notice you'll be able to do an inhale and then just relax, and you'll just naturally exhale. So that the void, it's almost like the bottom of your abdominal cavity drops or it opens up. And you'll feel it create an inhale. It's like it sucks the air from your mouth right down the trunk of your body into the void. If you open it up, then you relax and you'll just exhale. And you'll notice how subtle of an activity it is because it's all visualization now. You open up a void. So as you're getting the hang of it, you notice your abdomen isn't moving anymore. And your body will get real still. And yet you're still breathing. So this is all visualization process. But one of the wonders of biodynamics is how visualization works. So when we talk about feeling the magic, this is part of the feeling the magic. We are gifted beyond what we could even imagine. So you notice literally in a matter of 1 or 2 minutes, you learn how to open the void and breathe that way. And just what we're saying is it's something natural. And you notice how like you're hardly moving at all. And that's only with just a minute or two of practice. So if we extended the practice, you won't even move. So we'll jump ahead a little bit and let you try this with that void and see if that will make it where you hardly move at all. Okay? So now when we did the yawn, if you just open your mouth, that's enough to start the yawn. Okay? So now just open the void and just slightly open your mouth at the same time. And see if without any movement at all, that void will just suck the air right in through your mouth. And then you just kind of relax and then just kind of just open the mouth just the tiniest bit and you'll feel your whole body fill up with air because of the void. Okay, so you're doing it now. You notice all you do is kind of like open your mouth and that air just gets sucked right all the way down to the bottom of your abdominal cavity almost in an instant. It's a split second. So this type of breathing takes a little more practice, but it's also available to our use. And we can actually get almost an effortless expansion and contraction by using the void as part of our abdominal breathing. Technically, it's not abdominal breathing, it's void breathing. But anyway, this is another dimension that we can go into. And you notice you got real still, and you notice now you're sitting even straighter. And you could feel even your back relaxed. Okay, so the reason your back is relaxing is you have the energy running up and down through it, but with that in-breath expansion that we're doing, it's all the capillaries are expanding, so they're filling up with more blood, which means that you can get more oxygen into the cramped muscles, but also because the capillaries are expanded, on the exhale, you're getting rid of all the toxins more as well. So the natural state is to have that vertical backbone. And this type of breathing then allows you to have that vertical backbone and be relaxed or get the muscles relaxed, so it becomes a way of improving the health as well. Okay. And you can also notice that your countenance has a real vibrancy. Well, you can't see because we don't have a mirror, but your countenance or there's like a glow of energy that you can see not only in your face, but your whole body has some dynamics there. And this is what is connecting, or this is an aspect of beauty that people try to get, is that you need to get the glow on, right? And so you can visualize getting the glow on, or you can naturally have this glow emanating from you without work. Also, you notice that to get your back straight, normally people pull their shoulders back. But when they're pulling their shoulders back, they're tensioning the back muscles. So it takes away from the relaxed look. Also, when we look at performance, the muscles that are relaxed move quicker. So everything is connected toward this idea of giftedness, connectivity. Okay, that's seated. Now we'll do a standing one. This will go quicker because we're just going to do the exact same thing. We're going to learn the abdominal breathing that we're going to use from a standing position. and the directions are the same as we do seated. So we'll move a little quicker just to show this the standing position. So we're standing up. The disadvantage is that you are using muscles to stay erect. But as the backbone straightens up naturally, you're holding your body up more with the skeletal structure, so your muscles will tend to relax more. We do a lot of therapy with standing and walking around, because when we're walking around, it turns out that you're giving yourself a massage with relaxed muscles when we do the breath movements. But for now, we're just going to look into the abdominal breathing that we're doing from a standing position. So we begin with an exhale, and we just do a deep sigh, and you can feel the sigh go all the way down to your abdominal cavity, the floor of it. So do a deep sigh. Okay. And natural breathing, our body expands and contracts. Okay. You notice when we do regular chest breathing, naturally the chest expands because it's called chest breathing. Okay, now we're going to do the inhale off of the yawn. So we're just going to yawn and stretch, and then you notice that is a complete exhale, also off the abdominal cavity. And now do the whole cycle. We sigh, and then we yawn for exhale and an inhale. The sigh, you can see the body collapsing or contracting. And then on the yawn, you see the body expanding. And this expansion of the body on the inhale is how we move. So instead of using muscles, we can use this expansion of the inhale to actually move the body. Right now, you'll notice that as the arms move, the energy is going from the trunk of the body up, and it's going into the lower arm muscles and into the hands. So do a big abdominal yawn and show us that. And you can see that the lower arm muscles are expanding to lift the arm and hands. And that's with breath. Okay. Now, to just show the opposite, tighten up your neck and shoulder muscles, and that's going to be working the upper arm muscles just to lift your hands up. So you tighten it, and that's tightening up the neck and shoulder muscles, and they go down the upper arm muscles to move. And that's what we would say is a different muscle group. And then we can inhale and do the lower arm muscles. And you'll notice the difference in the grace and movement between the inhale motion, and now switch, if you can, switch back to the up, and you see the stiffness of the movement. So when we look at gifted performance, we want the fluidity and the effortless motion of the inhale expansion. So we're going to start to train a little bit or practice a little bit in how do we get this energy to flow. And you also know that this is also healing as well, because the capillaries are expanding, allowing more oxygen to come in, allowing the joints to expand, tension to get washed out, different type of waste products of metabolism to get rinsed out, or poisons involved with injuries. So it all works together to create a vital, healthy body. So let's just start with just the deep sigh and yawn, just to make the arms move with the expansion, and we're going to build on that. Okay, so just do a deep sigh and a yawn, and just allow the body just to stretch with the breath expansion of the inhale. You'll notice there's very little muscle movement. When you practice, there'll be actually no muscle movement. You can see the energy going through the lower arms, contracting or expanding out to create the movement. And you'll notice there's a fluidity, a grace, a very lightness to the movement. Now what we'll do is we'll try taking a step with the same movement. So we'll connect our knee to this expansion process. So the same way the body expands the arms with the in-breath, allow the knee to expand, and the foot will just kind of follow. The foot will just like slide along with the knee, and just allow the knee to slide forward to give the idea that you're making a type of a step with the expansion. And when you're learning this, there's a tendency to want to use muscle to make sure it's working, but just relax and just allow the expansion to move the knee. It takes a while, but to get the feeling of it, and then to emphasize it, just go into a big, deep inhale. Okay, and now let's add a deeper step and stretch our arms out horizontally, like a lunge kind of a stretch with the inhale. Do it a couple times, and you can notice the fluidity of the movement. It looks effortless, and notice the gracefulness of the movement, especially in the arms. What you're also going to notice is the back is starting to become vertical. It establishes its own vertical axis. When the backbone is straight, the bones are taking all the weight, and that allows the energy to flow easily throughout the body, and also the balance of the body is taken up by the bones and not the muscles trying to hold it upright. Okay. Now let's just raise our arms up over our head the same way and do it once or twice. And you notice this is going to be a little harder on the in-breath, but if you especially do a follow-through with the in-breath, not just a little in-breath, but keep it going until you run out of in-breath. Okay. And now let's add a step to that process and raise it up over the head. And just however the body moves is fine, because we're trying to learn the movement and allow the expansion of the body through that in-breath to move the body. And just see what comes out. Okay. And now our spine is going straight, and you notice the body is straight because the hips are being pushed forward. The body can be straight because you pull your shoulders back, but now you just tensioned your back. So this is a more natural way of having a straight vertical backbone, a straight vertical axis. And this is important when we do advanced movement for speed and balance, is that we have this straight vertical axis maintained by the back or backbone. So now when we do the stretch over our head, let's get our hands and elbows into that vertical axis of our spinal cord. And you can almost feel when the hands and elbow are in line with your spinal cord, is that there's going to be a feeling of straight up and down, a vertical axis. You're going to feel like a pillar. So let's just take the step now and just raise up until we make that straight vertical axis, and then just release, and then you automatically do an exhale. So let's try that a couple times. Just breathe in, get it up over. And if the foot moves, if the knee moves, good. If it doesn't move, it's no big deal. But we're trying to get the a step process going as well. So we're doing several things. We're getting movement, but we're also learning what it feels like to have a straight vertical axis and how to obtain it. And you'll see it's a natural vertical. And you can also see that there is a slimming effect. As the body relaxes, it thins down. As well. So there's a difference between something that is looking straight and something that has the energy of straightness. And that's what we're obtaining here, is something that is not only vertically up and down and vertically straight, but something that has the energy of being vertically up and down and vertically straight as well. And that's what we're looking for, is the reality of these type of energies instead of pretending. And that's the idea of being gifted. You're not fooling anybody if you're trying to be gifted, and you can't be gifted, so to speak. Now, let's do the same step and a stretch, and then just twist a little left, then back, and then stretch up, get that vertical, and then twist to the right, all with breath. So we've been doing in-breath movements, although it's only been a couple minutes, we're already able to carry the idea of that in-breath for a longer period of time. And after a while, it'll just be the visualization of the in-breath is going to be enough. And then after that, you don't even think about it. So let's try to do that vertical stretch. If it becomes a lunge stretch, that's okay. But let's just add a little twist to either side now to give a more stretchy dimension. With the bigger motions, it's obvious when you start to see the grace of the movement and the way it catches your eye or it connects. And this is also the difference of just having a technical performance and a performance that's technically correct but also connects. Also could not even be anywhere near technically connect. Also could also not be anywhere near technically perfect, but it can still have huge connective properties. So a lot of times the importance is being able to connect and not necessarily being technically correct in the things that you're doing. So this is where we create a presence or that is connecting. Also important is that you feel the beauty of the movement. So when we talk about beauty coming from it within, this is a reality of beauty coming from within. Okay. And allow just the breath to make you walk. So naturally, you can't do one breath per step, where it won't be smooth, right? So just, and this is how fast the body learns this stuff. We've only been doing this a couple of minutes, and this is also why we don't want to be using someone that knows what they're doing when they're videotaping, because there's no way to prove that you're getting the results by what we're doing. So just take a couple steps forward, turn around, a couple steps back. But even the turn around is going to be, the knee will actually move your body when you want to turn. So you'll have to train that in, hopefully immediately. But if not, that's to think what something to think about. But it all is just, you're just expanding, moving along. And you can even feel the breath push your hips from behind also. And just a couple steps, and then turn around. That's it. Okay, we'll go back and forth. And then what we're going to do is just modify just the walk just a little bit with some breath techniques. So let's keep going. We're doing fine. Okay, so you can feel, especially how you're allowing the knee to initiate the movement. And that's actually a natural walk, because that's how babies walk. They don't use muscles. They actually breathe their knee first. And you should see that with Lily. Right? It's like all of a sudden they're robots. They just move. Right? This is also a natural way of movement, and babies do this. And when we do climbing stairs, this is how babies step up too, or climb up on the sofa. They're actually using breath. Okay, so now what we're going to do is walk back and forth first, just as you're doing now, and now we're going to modify it as you're walking. And we can see that you're using the knee connection to walk. And now soften the knee connection, and there'll be less emphasis on it, but it's going to just move by itself. So you got the feeling of it. Okay, now let's see if we can forget about the knee, because it's already trained, and just feel the breath push your hips from behind. And we're trying for a flute. Okay. That's it. And keep taking away the knee, because the knees are going by themselves now. And now you can feel yourself just being pushed from behind by your hips, by the in-breath of the hips. So this is another reason why we wanted to go below the abdominal cavity, is even the walk now has this idea that the energy is coming from below your bottom with the void. And now you can see that actually pushing your whole body, and you notice your legs are getting more relaxed as you're walking, and you're getting this more effortless walk. Literally like in a minute. Now let's try not walking unless the hips push you. And try just slow motion just until, okay. Okay, good. So what we just taught also is how to walk with the breath energy. And when you're, especially, well, one, it gives you a nice looking walk, but for the purposes of health, what you're doing is as you're walking, you're invigorating your entire body. And because you're not really using the muscles so much, but they're expanding and stretching, you're actually giving yourself a massage as you're walking because the muscles aren't being tensioned or expanding and contracting. And also the oxygen's going through them more. So just the fact that you're moving is actually going to be healing. And for the CF people, just the fact that you can walk using this type of breath expansion then makes the walking therapy in itself. We'll begin just with doing a deep sigh. So when we sigh, we just go, ah. So do a deep sigh for your exhale. You can emphasize the sigh and feel the exhale. Go like, or something. And you could feel naturally with the exhale and inhale, the exhale, you can feel your body contract, especially with your hands on your abdomen. You feel the contraction of your body. Then when you breathe in and inhale, you can feel the body expand. So normal breathing, your chest expands. Abdominal breathing, your abdomen expands. So let's do a deep sigh. The body contracts. Now do a long sigh, like it has a follow through until you completely stop exhaling. So just go and tail it off till it stops. And you should begin to feel the bottom of your abdominal cavity. At the end of that deep sigh. Now that bottom of the abdominal cavity is what we're going to call the heart, the center, but that's the area that we're going to be breathing from. So it's that deep. It's not the stomach. The stomach is above. We're talking about the bottom level of the abdominal cavity on that deep sigh. Now our inhale, we're going to use a natural movement as well. And instead of sighing, we're going to yawn, like we're real tired. And the beginning of, and we're tired and we want to refresh ourselves. So naturally to refresh ourselves, we're going to inhale, get oxygen and energy flowing again. So when we yawn, the beginning of that yawn is an inhale. So just do a big yawn and just inhale. And you could just feel your body expand with all that oxygen coming in, and it's naturally refreshing. or trying to refresh the body. You notice a natural yawn, the mouth opens as well, usually. Now when we go breathe in and yawn, you'll notice that at the beginning of that in-breath, that the stomach is starting to expand now. So that's why we would call that abdominal breathing. And if we keep breathing in, then after the stomach, the chest starts to expand. So let's do a complete cycle. We'll just exhale with a sigh, hit that abdominal plate at the bottom, and then breathe in with a yawn and feel the body inhale and expand. So now you can kind of feel the flush of that inhale and exhale now. And then let it take the tension out. So the air goes in, and exhale, it swells it up, swell up like your neck, your shoulders. And then just relax. Now what I want you to do is open your mouth slightly too. Right. Now the reason I haven't yet opened your mouth slightly is we want the exhale to let all the toxins go out. So there's also the concept of putting the tongue on the roof of your mouth. One is it keeps you from getting dizzy, but the other idea is it's to contain the energy. But for our purposes, we don't want to contain the energy. We want the energy to be flowing. So when we're standing, we want to have that vertical flow. And in this case, when we're breathing, we want to have a flow of all the waste products of the exhale come out. So we keep the mouth open, they come out quicker. Right. And now we're going to take the inhale, like yawn effect, and visualize that as soon as we open our mouth, the actual inhale actually occurs naturally. So exhale, and then just start to open your mouth, and you'll feel the body fill up with air just from the fact that you opened the mouth now. So we've already trained the body in a matter of a few minutes. It's easy to train it because we're just doing something natural. So now all you do is just start to open your mouth and you inhale, you relax and you'll exhale. So it's going to become almost effortless. Right? And now you can feel like your neck and shoulders are starting to relax. And you can almost taste the toxins that come out on the exhale on your breath. And our whole body is also expanding and contracting with the rhythm of the inhaling and exhaling. You could feel muscles are involved in that. And a lot of times when we inhale, when we're yawning, we're also stretching. So add a stretching with the arms when you're yawning like you normally do, if you're really doing a big yawn, and you kind of stretch. Yep. Or you could even just plop the arms open a little bit. Yeah. And what's important to notice is that the same way that the abdomen and the chest expand on the inhale, the arms are like expanding. It's like you're a balloon and you're blowing up, you're expanding. Now what we're going to do is, with the process of visualization, we're going to add another dimension to the breath. And we're going to imagine that there's a void underneath the bottom of your abdominal cavity. And if you open up that void, it's naturally going to suck the air into you for the in-breath. So imagine a void, and imagine you opened it up. Let's open our mouth slightly to make it easier to happen. And as you open that void, you should feel air come in. And then you relax for the exhale now. Just relax, and then you'll naturally exhale. So we're going past abdominal breathing now, and we're going into a concept of void breathing. We're visualizing a void, and that void is going to cause our body to fill with air. So you open up the void, and you could feel the air rushing into your abdomen. Then it fills up the chest without your abdomen and chest having to move. And then it's just a subtle relax process. Will cause the exhale to happen. But notice that you can still get an expansion effect, but you're expanding with energy, but you're not expanding physically. So your body is still, but it has now the energy of expansion. And as we continue to train, you could use the visualization of the void expansion to create movement as well. So it's movement without muscle movement. It's all by a visualization. So right now you notice your body's completely still and you're breathing in and out. And we call this void breathing. It's sort of abdominal breathing, but it's also different. We're now into a visualization process. So when we want to look at extremely effortless type of movement, we can go to techniques that utilize the visualization of expansion through visualization of a void. And it rides the same energy pathways, that of the stomach, chest, lower arm muscles, little fingers, as does the regular abdominal breath. Okay? Alrighty. This type of hip area, spinal, sacroiliac, pelvic bone, expansion is like a flower blossoming would be the best imagery. So if my hands were the hips and the pelvic bone, the sacroiliac, the spinal cord, when we do the void breathing and visualize the spreading of the joints, it should look, the imagery should look like this. So it'd be an in-breath. Then continue with the visualization and trickle in breath. And this is how your hips, pelvic bone, lower back, tailbone should feel. And you can visualize just the joints spreading open. And you notice there's no constriction from one side as the other side expands. It's all expansion, and the expansion is from inside. In this case, it's from between my palms. For the healing and wellness, the use of the in-breath is oxygenating. So you're bringing oxygen as well as energy coursing through the joints that are opened. This is why you continue with the follow-through of the in-breath to hold the hips open, is that the oxygen and energy continues to flow into the joints. So not only does it give oxygen and energy into the joints, but it's also taking away all the toxins and stress. So the use of the inhale is doing two major things. Is one, it's providing the expansion for the stretch, but secondly, it's also providing oxygen and energy into the space between the joints and removing the toxins as well. So you can even feel almost like a washing and rinsing effect. Also, it's important to keep the mouth open during this process. I know there's certain uses of breath where you seal the lips or put the tongue on the roof of the mouth, but in this case we want to keep the mouth open to allow the toxins to flow out of the body and not be retained. So again, we're doing a wash and a rinse, filling the joints with oxygen. Trickling in the in-breath to keep the flow of energy going. Also, no need for muscles. As long as the in-breath is going, or the visualization of in-breath is going, and then just relax. And you can almost taste the toxins coming out of your mouth with that exhale. So again, notice no muscles. Energy coursing through the joints. As long as I'm in-breathing, release and get that toxins and bad energy out of the body. Don't forget to keep the feet as close to the hips as possible. this stretch, this spinal stretch, focuses on the hips, the lower back, the sacroiliac, that area. And the position has to be laying down, facing up, and the feet have to be close to the hips. The breathing has to be the void breathing from below the abdominal floor. And it begins just with a void breathing technique, and the in-breath then is extended to an abdominal and a chest expansion so that the body is fully inflated or fully expands. The body's going to lift upwards in a slightly comma position, and you'll notice that there is an extreme stretch, but the stretch is from the inside of the joints or the inside of the body outwards, as opposed to just bending or stretching. So the source of the stretch being the breath expansion means that the joints are expanding from the inside. This is important because none of the joints then constrict on a nerve. So it's like a complete expansion and not an expansion on one side and a contraction on the other side of the joint. The idea could be thought as the imagery of a flower, just like blossoming open. So from this position, feet are close to the hips, a void breath is started, and then it continues to an expansion of the abdomen and chest. Again, of note is that the inhale is all an inhale, including the imagery that the inhale is still continuing. There isn't a hold of the breath. So it could be also thought of as an inhale with an inhale follow through. Again, from the void, abdomen, chest, and you keep stretching. Then you relax and return back to the prone position. You could also think of the term is that your body is going to blossom, where the hips are going to open up, the back is going to open up as well. The visualization of a beach ball underneath sort of works, but we don't want the expansion to be from underneath. We want the expansion to be from inside the joints, inside the spinal cord, inside the hips, out, or outwards, that blossoming, opening effect. One more time. And it's easy to continue to hold that extended position as long as you're trickling the in-breath expansion.
And I have to again emphasize it's not a breath hold. If you try to just do an abdominal expansion, it doesn't work. Abdominal expansion only is like this. This is the void. Down. It forces all those bones to stretch apart at all the joints. And you'll notice that there isn't like one half of the joint being stretched and the other half of the joint being compressed. It's all an expansion. You also know that it doesn't use muscles, so it doesn't, without the use of muscles, then the joints are relaxed. They're not being pulled or they're not under tension just because you're using muscles. Also, there's a tendency for your muscles to tighten when you try to stretch. So this eliminates that involuntary tensioning of the muscles when you're trying to stretch, because you're not using the muscles, but you're just doing all of an expansion internally through the use of breath and also visualization. One more time.